Hey guys, it's Jess and welcome back to my channel. Currently Friday. I'm exhausted today. I'm gonna take the morning off. I've got some schoolwork to do, so I'm gonna be doing that. But I'm having a little break and I'm gonna make some muffins. So basically we have a bunch of really ripe bananas. This is just an old recipe that Mum and I love. We've been using it for years. Pretty sure they're dairy free, they're paleo, they're healthy, they're like refined sugar free, all that jazz. But beyond all that, they're just super good. They're very like fudgy and they last really well. So we usually like freeze them, or if my brothers don't eat them all in like 2 days, we try and just keep them for an easy breakfast, an easy snack. I like do a bit of a like bake with me, chat with me situation, just because why not? First I'm just gonna be putting the bananas in and I'm gonna mash them. So I think this recipe I kind of, I'm gonna sneeze. I just put out my latest vlog, so if you haven't watched that, feel free to go and watch that. That's just like a week in my life at home, what I'm doing. I haven't really talked about like what I'm doing, like what my plans are, because I was doing this channel during COVID to try and like stay motivated and just like push myself to, you know, keep up my training and like sort of also inspire other dancers who were like struggling as well to keep going. So I put on videos like, you know, I would share classes I found online, etc. And then I think I did another vlog and then I sort of just stopped YouTube. I just had a rough like middle to last year. I really struggled because I was meant to go back to Joffrey. So I was meant to go back to Chicago to keep training with Joffrey, which I love Joffrey so much. My time was cut short there. Basically, I had to come home in March, so I completed the rest of the program that I was in. So I'm just gonna mash up these bananas. Oh, I'm gonna use a masher. After I finished the year on Zoom, I kind of had this point where I had like a couple of months where I was really in limbo. So I was able to go and still keep training here, which was really good because in Australia, we were sort of coming out of lockdown sort of halfway through the year, which was great for us. But I was sort of in this limbo where I had been accepted into the next year at Joffrey as a trainee. I was in limbo where I was trying to train, keep on my training so I could go back, but then also like realistically going, will I be able to go back because of COVID and just the whole traveling situation? At this point, I'm pretty sure the embassy was closed, flights weren't running, and unlike now where some people can go overseas just with exemption, there wasn't really anyone going overseas. So it took me a long time to realize that realistically, I probably wasn't going back. And so I kind of held on for a couple of months to this fact that I might be going back. But it was also because I was sort of in denial, I would say, the fact that I was at home, I wasn't in a program, I didn't really know what I was going to be doing for the next year. I felt like I was like in no man's land. So there was a couple of months where I just felt really, to be honest, I got a bit depressed. Like I just, the worst part was when I made the decision and I sent the email to Joffrey and was like, you know what, I can't come back. It's too hard for me to come back just with COVID. And like they all understood. Like I had a lot of friends that didn't go back too, just because of the situation. Traveling, if I go, I probably won't be able to come back home. Financially, it was very expensive to go and possibly still be in lockdown. So I made the tough decision not to go back to America. And I think for a month after that, it was really hard for me. And I understand I was so lucky to be there in the first place. And that like I know that like so many people weren't able to go and do things that they were meant to do overseas, or even like go on gap years and go traveling. But then I kind of had to reevaluate, and this took a while for me to like finally get set up. So first thing was I didn't have a job, and I need to get a job if I was going to be home. And so right after COVID, trying to get a job, as you can imagine, was quite difficult. I made it my resume. I applied for so many jobs, just everything that I could find. What I would say, if you were looking for a job, just apply for like literally everything. Like even if it's not in your area, not really what you want to do, because people have connections. If they see you have a good resume, they can always show you to someone else. And that's kind of what happened to me. I applied for so many jobs, got no responses. And then I got a call like maybe a month and a half later, and I sort of was like very discouraged by the fact that I just couldn't seem to find anything. I got a call from someone I applied to very early on, and they weren't interested. They'd already got enough staff, but they knew some people that were interested. So that was incredibly lucky. And so I was very lucky to get a job pretty close to me, and I do bartending on the weekends at the small golf club, as you've probably seen from my latest vlog. I had no experience there, so I was very lucky that they were willing to like train me, which was great, because that was half the problem of why no one wanted to hire me, was because I didn't have any experience. Worked out well. I started working there, loved the environment. It's hard, it was challenging in so many different ways. Like me as I would say I'm a social person, but I'm quite quiet from the outset. Like unless you really know me, I can kind of appear quite sort of quiet. So trying to like come out of myself and like be a good customer service person was really different for me. And I reached out to my old friends, some like old friends that I've had from primary school. They welcomed me back into their group. Basically, I've been away for so long. It was so great. I really had to look at each part of my life and go, how can I just make the most of this? So I put in all the bananas I've had, so that's a lot of bananas. Then I put in 4 cups of almond flour because I was doubling the recipe. And then now I'm putting in 2/3 of a cup of coconut oil because it's double the recipe. And then I'm going to melt the coconut oil, put it in. What else did I put in? I put in 6 eggs. Things kind of started falling in place in other areas of my life. I don't know if it's because I was starting to feel more positive about myself, because when I was sort of unsure of what I was doing, I felt so useless. I trained hard. Then I made a video audition in about maybe towards the end of the year in November. I sent this to a couple places, but I also sort of held off because in Europe, they went back into lockdown, so I wasn't really sure about sending it to places in Europe. And I'm going to show you what the mixture looks like at the moment. So I've just been talking, but this is what the mixture looks like. Just added in the coconut flour, and it's very standard. A lot of my friends also went back to the UK to go back to their training schools, and that was really hard when they left because it made me feel like I was the one left behind, sort of. This year started, I sort of had the same sort of like, what am I doing moment. Grease these. My plan was to keep training, keep working, try and save some money up until I could audition at the end of this year for companies in Australia, ballet companies, to try and get a job. But that was still so long. Like in January, I still had till about August, September. So I was like, wow, that's a long time to keep keep motivated and keep going. My plan was to have some short-term goals. So I decided to enter into this competition that has always been kind of for younger students back at home, to the extent of the age till I can enter it now. So yeah, so I decided to enter into competition. You do some classes in front of the adjudicator, then you perform on stage, you do a variation, classical variation, you do a free variation, and then they see who goes into the finals, etc, etc. So I've been working this year on a free variation, which you've probably seen in my vlog, which is Aurora, and it's a very hard solo. It's very long, so I mainly did that because I wanted to really test my stamina, and I've always wanted to do this variation, and it's always been like that variation that I'm like, if I can nail that one, then I will be so happy. So I've really been working on it, also because I just love the artistry of it. Like, there's so many moments where you can just like have so much artistry, and that's what I've always loved about performing, and that's the main reason I do ballet, which has also been hard not performing. The reason I do ballet is to perform, and you can't perform. It's like, what even is the point in doing it, you know? So this year has just been me training up for the competition. I've been really busy working. I'm teaching more classes than ever. I like teaching. I'm not sure if I want to be a teacher when I'm older. That's pending. I'm actually nearly finished my Pathways course, so I've been doing that online. I've applied to maybe keep studying psychology and do a psychology degree because I'm interested in that, and I feel like it would be something cool to take into anything else like in life. So I applied for that. So fingers crossed that I get into that. I'm choreographing my own contemporary solo. That's been a journey in itself. As much as really COVID really just messed with like what I thought my plans was, I've learned so much being home. It's pushed me to see how far that I would go for ballet. Okay, these don't look that good, but I'm gonna put them in the oven now. Bye-bye, bye-bye. Those can literally like take like 10 minutes to make. I have some more mixture, so I'm gonna make maybe like a loaf. These look so good. Just come out of the oven. I forgot to put chocolate chips in there. How dare I forget to put chocolate chips in there? Well, one, I couldn't find them. I'm not sure if we have any. They're just perfect. Taste test. Very good. Okay, this is a loaf. This was just like the extra batter that I had. It made a lot. I think I definitely could have filled them up a bit more, made them a bit bigger. But they turned out good.